a 2, a 3, a 4.
We are Movie Menu Reviews. Once upon a time in a neighborhood, once upon a time in a neighbor, we say farewell. You say farewell. Once upon a time in a neighborhood, once upon a time in Hollywood, won't you be my? Can't you be my? Won't you be Movie Menu? On today's menu, we'll be reviewing The Farewell and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Welcome, ladies and gents. I'm Dan the Man Muñoz, host of Movie Menu Reviews, your weekly movie news and reviews podcast, live on Facebook. Thank you.
Yeah.
Also joining us today is our special guest, filmmaker, director-writer, Manuel Montanez.
Hey, welcome.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me back.
Welcome.
And I apologize for my voice being kind of off today.
Yeah.
I blame it on my co-host, Senior Panelist Z.
Well, we'll be doing part of your job today, so yes, I take your voice.
Oh, wow.
He's the Ursula of my area.
I am the Ursula. That's right.
And someone who's just a flounder is my co-host.
Wow.
That was solid.
Yeah, that was good job, Dan.
That was a good burn.
I can't
You
even.
guys inspire me so much. Okay, on that note, we have a lot of movie news to cover.
Yes, we do.
So let's go into it. First thing that we want to discuss is the reason why I sang the opening song was
and
because
nobody knew why you were doing that.
because the new trailer for A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood came out starring Tom Hanks.
Yes.
What did you guys think about this trailer for A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood?
Manny?
I'm not going to lie. Every time I've seen it, I tear up. I get a little bit more teary than I'm used to. My girlfriend caught me. So,
and it's just
shout
a
out to you.
trailer. That's
just
the
a
other
trailer.
part. Yeah.
Now, did you see Won't You Be My Neighbor, the documentary?
Oh, I loved it.
See, I couldn't watch it.
Oh.
I couldn't.
Really? Why
I
not?
could not. I was so scared of like, you know what I mean? Like it's okay.
It ruined your childhood?
Yeah, and I'm glad that there's a line in this trailer about ruining your childhood because I was worried. Now I know there's nothing to be worried about because Mr. Rogers was a freaking saint.
Yeah.
But like, I also couldn't watch it because for the same reason that while we were watching it, I think you were watching it and I was standing up and I was tearing up and you were tearing up and we didn't even talk about it until after that. Because anytime you watch Mr. Rogers be the kind man that he was, you have a moment of self-reflection if ever you grew up with Mr. Rogers, and holy crap, does Tom Hanks capture that magic.
He's just an embodiment of that.
Yes, he is.
Completely.
Which is crazy because he's played so many top people, right? He did Walt Disney. He did that one dude from that World War II movie. No,
he did Captain Phillips.
He did Captain Phillips.
He played the Sully.
Yeah, and more importantly, right? He's the guy who can blend into all these characters, and you know that behind the scenes he's also a really nice guy.
Yeah. Now it was criminal that Won't You Be My Neighbor was not nominated for Best Documentary.
It was.
It was so sad. Hopefully, this film will be nominated in its place.
Yeah, and I find it interesting that he's going up against Matthew Rice. I think that's how you pronounce his name.
Matthew Reese.
Reese, yeah.
From The Americans.
Yeah, from The Americans. So it's a TV show actor. So I find that interesting.
I mean, he's been in several movies, but yes.
But you know what I mean? Like it's like you're going up against Tom Hanks, and you know he's being directed by Marielle Heller, so that's going to be an interesting depiction. I'm super excited about it, and I can't wait. I honestly I feel it's going to be an Oscar nom without a doubt.
We do have a comment.
Yes,
someone Denise R says, "Yep, I did totally caught tears."
Yeah.
That's my girlfriend. She caught me tearing up, and she's always going to call me on it.
Nice, well done. Yeah, and just just so people know, so this director isn't exactly what you would say like the best director, but I would argue that it's I'm willing to watch it. because she directed Can You Forgive Me?
You have to watch it because we're going to review it.
I know that, but you know what I mean? Like, it's not like I'm hesitant.
Wait, Can You Ever Forgive Me? Why would that be?
That's what I'm saying. No, that was a good one. But she's also directed a lot of TV. That's the other part. Yeah. So it's kind of like, all right, I'm willing to see it. I want to see it, and I definitely think that she's going to do a great job in it.
I mean, so far, so far what we've seen, it looks like it's going to be very heartfelt. It looks like it's going to really capture the essence of who he is, of what the whole world of Mr. Rogers is. I mean, I know, like, growing up, I was always watching PBS as a kid. My parents were really into, like, you watch educational programming.
Right.
You know, and then just seeing this, it really just brings, you know, you get kind of choked up because it's nostalgia of childhood, you know.
And watch, he's gonna play Bob Ross as well. That
would be great.
Like you mentioned, there's going to be the PBS.
Oh, the Cinematic Universe. Yeah, Bob Ross, Carl Sagan.
It would be great if they were all Tom Hanks.
Oh, man.
Or, you know what I'm interested about, too, is you're going to look into the philosophy of Mr. Rogers, because that's what that interview was. It was like, why do you do what you do? And, like, do you see yourself as a hero? And I think that's what I'm watching it for, that, to see the heart of the man. And we all knew he was such a caring individual, and you knew the impact, because there's a moment in the trailer, at the very end of the trailer, where a whole train full of people, multi-generational, multicultural people, begin singing it. And I swear to you start singing it, people know that tune who were raised in that generation. You know.
Hopefully I didn't ruin it for you guys. Moving on.
All right.
The next trailer we want to talk about is Harriet, starring Cynthia Erivo. What did you guys think about this Focus Features film that comes out November 1st?
Let me ask this, is it just me, or was this the first, like, biopic about Harriet Tubman?
I want to say it is, but
I want to say that it's probably the first feature biopic.
Yeah,
I want to say that obviously.
Like, I'm sure she's been in other.
If we're talking about PBS, right? I'm sure they've covered. Was it Across the River, which is like the PBS version of, like, the history of African Americans. But yes, I think that this would be considered their first venture into feature films.
Also, it's pretty amazing that Cynthia is in this film, because she is a powerhouse actress, man. She's so amazing. I love all her performances that she's done so far. And the fact that she's also a Broadway actress just elevates the stature of this film.
Well, and she's not the only Broadway star, right? On this, we also have the guy from Hamilton's in this as well.
Leslie Odom Jr.
Yeah, Leslie Odom Jr. So it looks interesting. I remember watching 12 Years a Slave, and the director was there, Steve McQueen, and he said it's a tragedy that Americans are afraid of producing films about the enslavement of Africans in America, because you have a rich history, 400 years of history of people suffering and people overcoming. And so watching this, I was being reminded by what he said about that, because we know Harriet Tubman's story of the Underground Railroad was such a criminally undertold story. We're still waiting for her to appear on a dollar bill. I believe that was a petition that was put on in Congress a long time ago. And what she did for African slaves was the best action movie never told. So I'm hoping that this movie does a really good job of capturing her early years, because there should be a part 2 to this movie. Her journey was vast, and she did an amazing thing for America, and I'm so glad. I'm watching this, and I'm feeling inspired. I want to see this really, really badly. Definitely an Oscar contender.
Yeah, definitely. What about you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely want to watch this, and definitely want to check it out. I really enjoyed everything else Cynthia Erivo has been in. Bad Times at the El Royale.
Yeah,
she was amazing in that film.
Her voice,
and even in Widows. She has
Widows, yes,
a smaller role, but she's still great in it.
Oh, but she was like one of the. I mean, it was only a 4.
That's what I said.
She was awesome.
She was awesome.
Yeah, no, she was great.
So we're looking forward to Harriet coming out in November. All right, switching gears to a little more comedic is the teaser trailer for Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah.
Written, directed by, I think they said, like, the
Was it Visionary?
No, it was a Visionary.
It's a visionless.
They made up a word like visionistical or something. Director Taika Waititi. the satire of the Adolf Hitler film, where this boy has been teased. To find his confidence, he has an imaginary friend who is Adolf Hitler.
Yes.
Also stars Scarlett Johansson and Sam
Rockwell,
Rockwell,
Rebel Wilson,
and a bunch of other actors as well. But the funny thing about this film is that Taika Waititi, he just said that he didn't do any research about Adolf Hitler.
Oh my god!
Because he's an asshole, so fuck him. And that's basically what he said. Like, he's just gonna do whatever the fuck he wants. So, what do you guys think about this teaser for Jojo the Rabbit? Do you guys want to see it,
Mike?
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this, and I've been looking forward to everything Taika Waititi has been cranking out since. Well, I know he's
What We Do in the
collaborated.
Shadows.
Yeah. Since what we do in the shadows, as well as Hunt for the Wilder People, as well as
Thor Ragnarok.
I think Thor. Yeah,
and now Love and Thunder, and now this. Like, he's doing no wrong. That guy. I feel like Taika has gotten a blank check, and people have now seen. You know what I mean? Like, he's got now. Like, he's kind of like Guillermo del Toro. For comedy, in that, like, he can do whatever he wants to do, and it could be a bomb, but it doesn't matter because it's Taika Waititi, and you know that there's a caliber of filmmaking involved in that.
And most likely it won't be a bomb. So.
No, but you know, Hunt for the Wilder People wasn't exactly a success either, but it got a lot of.
It was a
critical. It was a critical success. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So I think that, with that being said, Taika knows how to direct weird satirical comedies, and more importantly, this is a great film that looks like it's going to be, again, telling an adult story through the eyes of children, which is awesome. And him as Hitler looks ridiculous.
I think it's just, when you watch the trailer and you kind of get, the music and the shots and the feel, it almost feels like as if Wes Anderson sat down and watched, I don't know, The Man in the High Castle or some kind of Nazi film. And said, you know what? Let me see what I can do.
Inglourious Basterds.
Here, hold my beer.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that as like an insult. I mean, I loved it. It feels like it's going to be.
Now I kind of want to see them team up. I want to see Taika Waititi and Wes Anderson do a film together.
I might actually enjoy a Wes Anderson film in that case. So that would be great. I feel like he's a little too full of himself. But yes, that's on me.
Yeah, it's on you.
But at the same time, I'm looking forward to this.
Agreed.
It's going to be fun.
Yes, it's going to be a lot of fun. And another trailer that looks like it's a lot of fun is the trailer for Zombieland 2 Double Tap, starring Woody Harrelson, Jesse Eisenberg, Abigail Breslin, and Emma Stone. Also, Rosario Dawson is in the sequel to Zombieland.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I like how they start off with the Academy Award nominee, Woody Harrelson, Academy nominee, Jesse Eisenberg, Academy nominee, Abigail Breslin, Academy Award winner, Emma Stone. And have these people who have been nominated for the Oscar are in this film back 10 years after it was filmed to do this again. What do you guys think about them doing Double Tap?
Well, and you know that they're doing that because they have to acknowledge the fact that this movie's been so hard to make because of all of that. Because these actors have gone off, right? This 10 years ago, have gone off and done amazing films.
But they also tried to do the TV show that didn't happen as well.
Yeah.
So it's good. I'm glad that it's a different director from the first one.
It is, yeah.
But I am happy that they are back to do this one because I did really enjoy the first film. And it seems like they are growing the lore of the Zombieland in this one and adding more rules and whatnot, and other people as well. Go on.
I think my biggest question after watching that is, somehow are they going to bring Bill Murray back?
The answer to that is yes. He is.
Way.
He is in the credits. So that's saying something.
If they can kind of connect it to the last movie, the movie he was in recently, the zombie one.
What
was it called? The one with him and
Kylo Ren. Dead Don't Die.
Dead Don't Die.
If somehow they can connect the Dead Don't Die to Zombieland 2.
Would you want that?
That's a whole zombie cinematic universe.
Did you? Well, first of all, George Romero. He did the first cinematic universe for zombies.
Yeah.
But yeah, would you want that? I heard that movie wasn't that good.
Really? I'm sorry. No, I haven't watched. I've been wanting to watch it. I just haven't watched it yet.
The trailer is definitely more fun than the movie. Say that.
The disappointment just starts to like.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's funny because we always ask the question of like, is this the sequel to a movie we never really wanted? And usually, right, like Jumanji.
Oh, Jumanji.
Jumanji was the sequel that nobody ever wanted, and then we got it, and it was great. This, I feel like Zombieland Double Tap might have the problem of higher expectations. So I feel like we all want something out of Zombieland 2, but I'm not sure if they're going to be capable of doing what we want them to do. You know what I mean? Like
same magic that was brought from the first.
Exactly that. Yeah.
I just want to be with these people again and just follow their adventures. I'm not. I know these are Oscar-worthy actors, but I'm not expecting Oscar-worthy film. I'm expecting like a dumb, fun comedy with these 4 actors that have great chemistry with each other, and I'm hoping that that it's just a fun film.
I'm hoping that too, but for me, like my worry is that these are Oscar-worthy actors who don't really have to give it their all.
No, but I feel like this is. Like, they can do anything. I feel like this is a passion project for them.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
that they want to be there because after 10 years, there's no reason for them to come back other than the fact that the script was really good.
And money was also very good.
But the money's not going to be as great because this film is not I don't think it's such a high budget compared to the first one.
Oh, I wouldn't know, but I'm saying like I want to again. My worry is
the money for them. They could get money anywhere because they're all A-list actors.
That's true, but
maybe not.
With the exception of like an MCU movie, this is like a sure as shit way of earning a lot of money. That's what I'm saying. I think you have the same expectation that I do, but we're in reverse because you are hoping that they bring it their all, and I'm worried that they're not going to bring it their all.
They don't have to bring much. Just do what they do.
Just read the damn script, guys.
Yes. Just read the script, memorize your lines, and show up for the shoot. That's all you need to do. That's your job.
That's what actors do, Manny, right?
Yeah, no, that's true. Here's the script. No. I think that's the only fear is, and I don't really feel it with this one, is it like too much time has passed for there to be a sequel, be anybody interested in a sequel? Because I mean, I know like this one's 10 years. It has been a long time, but it's not. I think it still falls within like, you know what, me personally, I mean, I love the first Zombieland. Yeah. And I feel like, sequel, well, that's great for the fun of. Like, same deal, I'm not expecting like, Oscar-worthy, this is going to get nominated for like Best Picture. But compared to like other movies that they ended up making a sequel for, and it's like okay, well, with all respect for the sake of like, say, Dumb and Dumber.
Right, yeah.
Like, I didn't really need a sequel. They made it, and it just seemed like, well, did you really want to?
Well, and they rushed it out, right? In this one, they did take 10 years, which means you get to see the actors aged up without having to hire new actors.
Yeah.
So I'm worried, but I'm optimistic.
What? On that note, let's quickly move on to the review before anything else.
Before
Movie menu.
Since I am having trouble talking,
yes,
I'm going to toss the hosting duties over to Z, as he didn't even see the movie anyways.
And I have no problem talking. All right, so the movie we're reviewing is The Farewell, written and directed by Lulu Wang, starring Awkwafina, Zima, Diana Lin, and Xu Zhenjiao. Here's the plot. A Chinese family discovers their grandmother has only a short while left to live and decide to keep her in the dark, scheduling a wedding together before she dies. That's a really fucked up way of, whatever. We'll talk about it. Depending on your spoiler for review, we will not be spoiling this movie. I will decide this movie's worth a dine in, watch it in theaters, a takeout, watch it at home, or a leftovers. What do you guys think? A leftovers.
That's a very touchy subject.
Yeah, I know.
Get drunk at a wedding and
get drunk and sing karaoke.
or
That's very racist of you, Mike. There you go.
No, I didn't read it like that.
Wow.
There is karaoke in this.
Well, one of you had to be racist. Here we go. All right. So now
I'm actually surprised it wasn't you.
I haven't seen the movie.
There is karaoke in this movie.
No, all right. So now whoever wins will earn a point, except for Mike and Dan. So Manny, you're here, which means that you kind of automatically win the point.
I thought you were going to single me out there. It was like everyone could win a point except
Mike, the racist.
Racist.
Well, we did watch that trailer about Hitler, so
maybe it rubbed off on me.
Hitler rubbed off on you. I'm sure he did.
Well done,
Mike, my little friend.
Sit on my lap. All right, so Manny, if you earn 10 points, which at this point I feel like you've surpassed them, you have to keep track of your own points, though. You will earn enough points to develop your own segment.
At this point, though, Manny, you could say you have 10 points and we'll believe you.
We will believe you.
Well, let me just check my my point app.
Oh, you got 100 points. Oh,
Oh,
okay,
my.
got it.
So if you earn
So
100,
the next 10 episodes are yours, man.
yeah, Dan will buy you dinner. So there's
Good
also
times.
Yeah, there you go.
On Z's credit card.
Damn it!
Yes.
All right. So again, I have not watched this movie, so you guys need to convince me to either watch it dine in, watch it in theaters, a takeout, watch it at home, or leftovers, get drunk and sing karaoke. So Manny, with that being said, rate this film.
Oh, definitely dine in.
All right, Mike.
Dine in for sure.
All right, and Dan.
Definite dine in, as well as this is actually based on actual lies.
Yes, it is.
And I heard about this story like maybe 2 years ago. I'm pretentious and I listened to the podcast This American Life,
Oh, okay.
and this story was on there.
Oh.
And I remember listening to the story because then I listened to the episode after I saw the film, and I remember thinking like, what a difficult place to be put in as someone who has to keep a lie that their family member is dying, and you have to go see them and not be able to tell them because it'll go against the family.
Yeah. So
That's a
the
very-
story, whose story? This is a director's story.
Yeah, it's her story. So she wrote it and directed it, and it's her actual family that went through this, and here in America, that would not be possible. That story would be illegal.
Yeah.
Because the doctor has rights to the patient, not to the family. But in China, they have a philosophy that the mind, body, and soul are all connected in one. So if you give bad news to someone and they become depressed, then their physical body will also suffer and die.
Yeah.
So they tell the difficult news to a family member instead. And so when they find out that the grandma or Nene has lung cancer and only has about 3 months
It's 3 months, yeah.
to live, they concoct this plan that the grandson, to get married, is going to have a wedding to make all the family members come and visit her without her knowing that's the real reason is because she's dying.
So it's a fake wedding.
It's a fake wedding.
Well, no, it was an actual wedding.
People are getting married, or they're not getting married.
It was a real but very
But-
rushed wedding.
Yeah.
They use the wedding as an excuse. for
in
anyone to
the
find.
in the trailer. It looks like the grandmother's like pushing two people's heads together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, the couple itself, they were only together for like 3 months.
Oh,
and then she even
Jesus.
makes a comment about like, wow, they're only 3 months. Maybe, she might be pregnant or something.
okay.
Like this is, like a,
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, well, not funny, but the crazy thing is that the bride is Japanese.
Yeah.
So she doesn't, she's meeting the family for the first time.
Wow.
And they can't communicate with each other. So
Total
it's
language
this
barrier.
Total awkwardness as well.
Yeah.
And but Aquafina is amazing in this film.
Well, before we
yeah.
go to the acting, I wanted to ask Manny, because Manny, you've directed a movie about culture,
yeah.
and it was called Culture, right?
Ironically, yes.
Yes, there you go. Okay. But do you feel like this movie does a really good job of depicting the different cultures involved in this? Because Dan was talking about in America, you would not be getting away with this.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm guessing Awkwafina was raised in America in this story, and then she goes back to China?
Yeah. Her character, she was born in China, but at a very young age, her family moved to America.
Yeah.
So she's very Americanized, So, and then you see throughout the movie when they tell her that they can't tell her grandmother that that she's dying from cancer.
Yeah.
Awkwafina can't understand it.
Yeah.
And then they kind of go into like a simple, well, this is a reason why. And as Dan said, basically it's like, well, she's not going to die from the cancer. She'll die from the depression of knowing that she has cancer. And it's very interesting because, they do play on she's Chinese American. So they go into the culture then. They go into, culture within China. And it ends up being not just between the countries, but the philosophies. In the East, we do it this way. In the West, they do it that way.
Yeah. And they do a really good job of
Oh,
explaining
they do a really good job to it. They go more in depth into more of the reasoning why they won't
That's
tell
awesome.
her.
Well, no, the way that the movie's set up as well is it's set up as it's very non-moral or dismoral or
Immoral.
Immoral, thank you.
There.
You go in oh my God, this is horrible. How can a family member do this? And then you see their side of the story and you see their presence, and then you start thinking, wait, is it really immoral? You start to question, and it makes you feel like not icky but it makes you see the other side as well. You're
Exactly.
not sure which philosophy is right, and it puts you in a difficult situation. What would you do if you were in that
Interesting.
situation?
Okay. All right. Cool. Mike, did you feel like you?
No, I agree. There was a beautiful description in it. I'm not sure if repeating it would.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
it's-
So one of the family members he describes to Awkwafina. He says He says we're not doing it to hurt her. We're as a family member, and since
that's a great line.
Yeah, he says since we love her, like the family, it's the family's
It's
duty
burden.
to
It's our
carry
burden.
to carry the burden for her, so she doesn't have to carry it all on her own.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I thought that was like
that was beautiful.
Yeah,
That was a beautiful
that
line.
I don't think there was a more precise. Articulated way to explain that, and after that line, like as Dan had mentioned, it's no longer like a question. It's just more of like cultural differences at that point, and then it's at that point it's just being more receptive about what's happening.
Now, this wasn't in the movie, but this was in the This American Life episode.
Okay.
This is a way to describe it. The grandmother's sister, the younger sister, Little Nene. She says this joke, quote unquote joke. She says, a healthy man and a sick man go to the hospital and they get the test results mixed up. The healthy man gets the sick man's results and the sick man gets the healthy man's results. Well, the healthy man ends up dying from depression, and the sick person still survives because they believe they're healthy. So that's the I know they say joke, and they ask the grandma, that's not really funny. She's like, but yeah, it's a joke within the community.
Yeah.
But that's their mentality. That's what they believe in. That it's the mind, body, and soul are combined in one together.
That's pretty cool.
So,
So this movie has Awkwafina in it. We have seen her in Crazy Rich Asians. We've seen her, play
comedies.
In comedies, mainly do like
Ocean 8.
comedic Ocean's 8. And in Ocean's 8, I feel like that was my first introduction to Awkwafina, and she seemed a little bit like a cartoon character, especially the way that she was depicted in that movie. This does not look like Awkwafina from those movies.
No, this is definitely a more honest and real performance from her, for sure. This is not exactly as you see it in the trailer. She's a struggling artist living in New York, and the character's totally believable. She does an amazing job.
Okay,
yeah, it's very raw.
It's
very raw. Like she wasn't afraid, or maybe she was, but she wasn't afraid to be vulnerable.
Okay,
and being with her grandma, there was like moments. Like, it definitely got me by the end where I was like in tears a little bit.
Yeah. What do you think? Awkwafina did a really good job in this?
Yeah, I mean, it's like from the other movies that you've seen her in, she's very funny, she's very silly.
Yeah.
So it's she really knows how to do her comedic chops. And this one, she does have moments where she kind of jokes, where you see it's like a lot of her personality she puts into it, but it's definitely not over the top. It's definitely not like cartoony. She does know those moments, like in the pacing for dramatic, when to. Yeah. You feel that emotion. You feel like a genuineness, especially when there's a dynamics between like her relationship between like her and her grandma.
Right.
It seems like such a real, like if you didn't know anybody, you swear that was her grandma. Just the chemistry that they had, or just the love that she had for her.
Yeah, and she's acting against Xu Zhenjiao. That's the grandmother. How does she perform?
I love
Amazing.
the grandma. I love that grandmother.
The grandmother is so
she's so real.
Yeah.
She's
so lovable.
Yes.
I'm trying to look her up here on IMDb, but it seems like this is like her only acting credit. So I'm not really sure as whether or not she's had much acting. But yeah, you're saying she was amazing in this?
Yeah, she was great.
She's.
I mean, Awkwafina is like the journey that we go on. The grandma is the heart of the film.
Okay.
And you really like. You feel the emotion and you feel the burden as well, because when you see the grandma, you wonder yourself, like you picture her as your grandma almost.
Oh, definitely.
And you juggle with what would you do? Would you tell her or not?
Yeah.
So the grandma is really, the whole family dynamic is
ask,
really great.
What about the supporting cast in this?
It's
Because this
great.
seems like
Amazing.
I was looking at all the pictures, and it's like all the pictures for this movie are the whole family together, and I was like, I cannot find the right picture.
The only problem I had with the film is the grandson. I just wish he had more, because he looked very like, I know he's in like suffering and pain of this, having to get married, but it really being a ruse because his grandma's dying. But I wish he had more to do.
Okay.
Well, he didn't even talk at all, did he?
No, he didn't. Not really.
He did drink.
Oh man, yeah,
he did drink.
That drinking game though.
Yeah, there's a scene where like if you screw up in what you say, you have to take a shot. And he just screws up a billion
So
times.
so if we were to play that game, Mike would lose.
Basically.
Probably.
So let's bring out the tequila, guys. Let's do this.
There's the cups. Right?
All right. So this movie, last I checked, was resting high on 100% at Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know if that's still the case, but it is a movie that is killing it. This movie is also seen as a dramedy. So
Totally.
Is this movie balanced, or does it feel like it undercuts like Marvel movies?
No. It does. It has very.
Wait, what do you mean undercuts like Marvel movies?
Let me explain. Marvel movies suffer from this, okay? So Marvel movies set up this really dramatic moment, and then somebody makes a joke, which then undercuts the drama.
No comic. It's not as...
It's very balanced. It just it feels natural. It feels organic. It doesn't feel like forced in. Like, oh, we have to throw this joke in there.
Okay.
There are lighthearted moments. A lot of it with Awkwafina. I mean, I guess because of the comedic background, I guess. But it feels very organic. It feels very natural. I want to say that like the dynamics within the family, it feels very believable between the uncles, the aunts, the cousins. It feels like similar. I don't know if this will even make any sense to compare like to my own family. Just like how like everybody's very different, just the way how they work. It doesn't feel very how do you want to say it? Like character types. Like, okay, this has to be the happy one, this has to be the angry one, this has to be it just feels very genuine, very natural. And then seeing how each of them have to go through their process of dealing with the fact that the grandmother's dying, whether it's from her own sons to the grandchildren to other family members, even people within like friends within the community. Oh my gosh, what about the grandmother's the boyfriend,
the new boyfriend?
The boyfriend.
It is great.
The grandmother has a boyfriend.
I thought that was great. It's like, I think it just shows like. Yeah, she doesn't really like him, but I mean, I think she does, but she always rags on him.
Well, she says like
around. It's great.
How does she say like it's better than being alone?
Yeah. But I think like this film on the trailer, it seems like it's covering just the grandmother having cancer, but I think it also covers just death in general because they cover when
also the family though. It covers like a lot to do with family.
And just
family dynamics.
Yeah, and the grandfather having passed away before, like how the family had dealt with that as well, and I think that was also I thought it was covered just as. Honestly,
but also like the one thing that when I mentioned about family dynamics is that the family of Awkwafina's, the mother, father, and then the uncle, they haven't seen each other for over 20 years.
Okay,
so they haven't been together in the same room over 20 years.
Wow.
So this dynamic of them being together in the same room to deal with their mother's dying, but having to hide their feelings and go with this wedding. It is a lot of tension in this film that's really interesting to watch.
Got it.
Yeah.
So this movie, as Mike just said, revolves around death, and none of us, are left without that scar. Do you guys feel that it depicted?
It's not. Even though it's about death, I don't think it necessarily dwells in it. Like it kind of looks at it in a more. It never shoves you in there. You never feel.
Well, I'll tell you. So when I was watching the trailer, it reminded me a little bit of Coco, like in the sense of like death as a celebration. And at least that's why I got from like the interviews that I saw from the writer director, was that it seemed a little bit like a death, not death as like a tragedy, but death as a means to celebrate someone's life.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like just a different perspective than what we're used to as death as a part of life, and how different cultures mourn during that death. But it never like as Manny mentioned,
it's not heavy-handed.
Yeah, it's definitely not heavy-handed as you guys had mentioned. It's nicely balanced.
Well, I also think like it's really in the moment.
Yeah.
Like they're not looking so much in the future. They want to like celebrate stuff now while they can. So I feel like this film really just covers like a week. Like you just go from the beginning of the week to the end of the week, and that's the moment that you're experiencing is this trip, to go to the wedding. You see a little bit before the trip to following Awkwafina's life in New York, but then once you go to when she goes to China, that's basically where the movie starts and begins, and you see the dynamic of that family within that week of the wedding, or 2 weeks.
Gotcha.
Forget how long it is.
I mean, it's great. You see everybody's different perspective on how they're trying to handle it. Whether it's like the sons, because the grandmother, she only had 2 sons, so you're seeing like each of them kind of like from their perspective, and they kind of share
and their wives' perspective,
and the wives' perspective, which is very interesting too. Because like throughout the movie, it's Awkwafina's character. She's trying to find out, like, well, she keeps asking everybody, like, well, don't you think it's wrong that we're not telling our grandmother that she's dying? Do you not think it's wrong? And they each give like their reasoning why, like, well, because of this, because of that. And there was even wasn't when she'd asked her grandma's sister when they were in the hospital why just think it's wrong that you're not telling your sister. And she's like, well, no, she understands. Like, what do you mean? Well, she did the same thing too.
Oh yeah.
To her own grandmother.
Oh, okay.
And it's just like they understand it. It's a part of culture. It's a part of life.
It's like an unspoken rule or something.
Exactly.
Are there any faults in this movie?
I just didn't like the grandson.
Yeah, you mentioned the grandson. Is there anything else that you guys found difficult to understand or process? Can I ask, is the movie subtitled or is it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, there's parts where they're speaking, English. Maybe like 5-10% in the movie.
Yeah,
like Awkwafina's family speaks English together.
Okay.
Yeah, but the majority of it's in subtitle. But even then, like, it doesn't like take away.
There is a funny English scene when they go to the hospital and the doctor speaks English.
My God.
That's in the trailer.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. All right. Any final words? I feel like I've gotten a pretty good understanding of what I'm going to rate this movie. Final words, Manny?
I would say it's a definite watch. It's definite. Kind of a character study of not so much of death itself, but like preparation for, like, preparing yourself for the grieving process, preparing yourself for what you're going to feel. Go see it. Go see it.
That was not depressing at all, man.
I'm sorry. This coffee's not kicking in.
The coffee's too dark.
Yeah.
Don't tell the coffee it's not working.
Dan?
Definitely dine in. I would also recommend to take some tissues just in case you start crying. I feel like this movie doesn't just deal with death, but it deals with your perception on death.
Yeah.
It really makes you think, like, what would you do if you were in that situation? Could you handle this? And basically, it'll show your true character of what you would do in that situation.
Okay.
So definitely watch it. It might have some unanswered questions that you might ask yourself. If you're ready to answer those questions, I would say definitely watch this movie.
Okay. Mike, final words?
Yeah, I think this was a beautiful tribute to grandmothers. And and just an awesome, honest depiction of family and the constant struggles with everybody within it. And definitely watch this and take some tissue.
I mean,
it is a tearjerker.
It is a tearjerker. I was gonna say not that this is like gonna change my verdict, but did you guys cry?
I teared up a little bit at the end.
Yeah.
There were a lot of knots in my throat, for sure.
That's how I lost my voice. It was just like,
I think if I was watching it at home, I'd be like, ah!
Yeah,
but I was in the theater and I was like, suppress it.
Hey, it's okay to cry, Mike. It's okay to cry.
Mike. It's actually more manlier to cry than to not cry.
Okay,
Manny.
Stop being with the toxic masculinity, Mike.
Oh,
sorry.
He's a racist and a toxic masculine.
You guys have learned the truth.
Wow. Manly tears. No,
it's like a water muscle fist.
Yeah, that's what I'm imagining too. It's just a fist.
And then it goes back.
No, I got teary eyed. It was, because I mean, to be honest to say, I've actually this past month or two, I've had a few deaths in the family. Oh. So it just kind of like, it's just kind of relating, like seeing all the family getting together on both sides of the family. I got from on my dad's side, they're all from Mexico, so I had to go down to Mexico for the burial. Yeah. So seeing the dynamics there. And then on the other side, on my mom's side, it's more Mexican Americanized. Oh, okay. So going through the dynamics and that, when I watch this movie, it's something that I could really relate to.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Before I go, are there any comments that we need to address?
Yeah. There's Lisa.
It's my sister. Hi, Lisa.
Hello, Lisa.
Hi. She really wants to see this one now.
You should, Lisa.
Right. That's what a good review should do. It should turn us on to watching this movie. Anybody else?
Well, back when we were talking about trailers, Denise R. says yes. So thought it was a Wes Anderson film at first, till the obvious comedy came out.
Oh, jeez. Solid burn. All right. With that being said, I'm going to give this movie a dine-in. Watch it in theaters. Again, I was telling Manny behind the scenes, I was saying, wow, this is one of those movies where I really wish I went to go watch it if I wasn't sick. So I didn't even know this movie existed up until
you got me sick.
No, well, I know I didn't see you last week, so I did not get you sick.
But I'm not sick.
But this movie looked fantastic, and I wish I saw it. And I'm glad you guys have also proven that this movie is worth watching.
You see, Manny, aren't you happy you saw this movie too?
I am, man. It was a beautiful movie.
Were you not going to watch it?
No. I was planning to watch it. I just I had no idea that it came out this past weekend.
Got it.
No, I'd seen the trailer. I was like, oh, cool, this is a good movie. And then when I got contacted about the review, I was like, oh wow, it's this week. Well, let me see what I can do.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you saw it. I'm glad you reviewed it.
Oh, me too.
You got yourself a point.
Yes.
Can you believe
the 100th point?
Add the point to the gloves.
It's a gauntlet, yeah.
It's the
point gauntlet.
The point stones.
Yes.
All right. With that being said, let's go over to our next review.
Before we go on the blip.
Movie menu.
Okay, so I'm going to toss the host and Jews again over to Z.
They never left. They were still in my hands this entire time. All right, so the last movie we're going to be reviewing is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, directed and written by Quentin Tarantino, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, Al Pacino, and Emile Hirsch. So here's the plot. A faded television actor and his stunt double strive to achieve fame and success in the film industry during the final years of Hollywood's golden age in 1969 Los Angeles. Once again, depending on your spoiler-free review, I will decide this movie is worth the dine-in, watch it in theaters. Takeout, watch this movie at home, and the leftovers, join
a cult.
Join a cult, which might actually be more fun than this movie.
And live out in the San Fernando Valley.
I mean,
who wants to do that?
All right, so I have not watched this film, and once again, you guys can earn points. However, unlike the previous movie, you guys have a high mountain to climb because I, as people might remember, am not a giant.
You gotta stop being biased.
I'm not a giant Tarantino fan. This movie ranks at, I don't know if it's the longest movie he's ever made, but it is a 2 hour and 41-minute film. This is actually the reason why I didn't want to watch it. Is I just saw the film running time and I was like, I cannot do that. That is way too many trips to the bathroom.
But you're okay watching Endgame, which is about 3 hours long.
But we made sure to schedule out the P's times. All right, so
just
you guys.
saying.
What I'm saying is that I don't like Quentin Tarantino. I did like Hateful Eight, though, so that's saying something. All right, so go ahead and convince me to watch this film. Manny, rate this movie.
Dine in.
That was fast. Dan?
I'm going to go with soft dine-in.
Soft dine-in.
What the?
And Mike?
I'm going to go with the takeout.
See, I'm going to vote for Mike. All right, so this movie is, again, 2 hours and 41 minutes long.
That's the only bad thing about the film is the length of it.
Yeah.
But I was like the first hour could probably have been cut off, and they could have done an hour and 30 minutes or whatnot.
Yeah,
because it really doesn't pick up until like halfway through the film. Yeah. And that's when the movie gets really good. Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio, I think this is their first time working together, and they are incredible together.
Okay.
They're so good. And the guy who plays Bruce Lee is hilarious.
Oh man, spot on.
That was a great scene.
That the family hated. Bruce Lee's family hated that scene. They were not consulted, and they were really angry that they weren't consulted.
I could see why.
Yeah, I can understand.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Well, from the trailer, it looks like Bruce Lee's depicted very arrogantly.
Yeah.
But anyways, continue. So you're saying that the movie it builds up after the first hour. What's the first hour?
It's just set up. It's just it gets up with Rick Dalton's career when he was in his heyday, or not really, but yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
It's kind of giving like foundation to like where he came from, like who he was as an actor, and then basically like kind of what.
And then how he was like a has-been.
Yeah, and then kind of even it was an interesting way of having to explain like because he didn't realize that he was becoming a has-been or is a has-been until like somebody was able to kind of like break it down to him, like, look, this is kind of where your career is going.
Al Pacino.
Oh yeah, and then you just see it like now it just hit him like a Mack truck, and now it's kind of him time to cope with it, kind of.
Which is funny because that's in the trailer, right? That whole line setup is in the trailer.
Oh yeah, no, it is.
Well, that's kind of early on in the film, if I'm not mistaken. That's like within like the first 10 or 15 minutes, right?
Yeah, so it kind of gives you a little bit more of like a background on his character as well as Brad Pitt's character, and then he starts again introducing to like Margot Robbie, and kind of really it's helping to set up and establish the world that they're in. And, it's 1969, it's Hollywood, kind of gives you really the taste of that era about like how things were, pop culture, Los Angeles in general, like what was it like during that time. I think that's really they were trying to like put it in there, just like really like maybe I enjoyed it, but I guess I can see if you want to try to cut it down.
I was going to ask, like, why did you enjoy it more than say Mike or Dan?
I think it's just the aesthetics of it, because it really did such a great job of setting it up to what it was like. Like I'm not that old, so I'm not from back then, but it really tried its best to stay true to the lifestyle, the culture, as well as like kind of giving now, as well as the other things that were going on during that time. I mean, there's like more to like, but I don't know. There's like more to talk about.
But I'm trying to understand like this first hour Dan's talking about, and he's not the first to say that. I've actually heard multiple reviews talking about that first hour. Mike, why did that first hour work for you, or no?
Well, first I
would say more like maybe the first 30 to 45 minutes, maybe not the whole hour.
Yeah, sure, no, without doubt.
I totally agree with Manny that this is like that. Yeah, that it is a great job with like. Setting that time in 19, like you feel it both in just its visual aesthetic as well as just it almost seemed like a tribute to Hollywood as well. Like I remember there's like a scene where they're showing all the iconic locations of Hollywood,
which Quentin Tarantino grew up in LA, so a lot of those places and landmarks are very important to him. Especially when he was first starting off as a filmmaker. So I can see why it was like an homage to him.
It totally had that feel. Like you could tell that that he loves Hollywood, or like the area that it's his. You know what I mean?
Right.
And,
that pee-smelling area.
Exactly.
Now, nobody tells you this, boys and girls, but Hollywood smells like pee.
It does. It does.
Do they make a joke about that? Because nobody ever tells you that until you. I would remember being a kid going to Hollywood, the Stars.
The Walk of Fame.
The Walk of Fame when I was like
Hollywood
10 years
Boulevard.
old and smelling Hollywood for the first time going, oh, they don't talk about this.
It's the reality.
It's the reality. But Dan, you. Oh, sorry, Mike. Keep going.
No, that's okay. But yes, this movie could have definitely been edited down.
That's what I was going to ask Dan. Like, so do you feel like that could have been done a lot faster, Dan?
The thing is, so you wonder what's the focus of the film.
Yeah.
So the focus of the film is Rick Dalton. That's the focus of the film. But they also set up Sharon Tate.
Yes,
as the side.
But
they also set up
murders.
They also slightly set up Charlie Manson, but they mostly set up the cult. Yeah. So then that's where the trouble of the focus of the film, and they also set up Brad Pitt.
Yeah. So
it's really like the focus.
It's like spread around for sure.
Well, the thing is, the first hour is all about Rick Dalton and a little bit about Brad Pitt so much, but it's all Rick Dalton, and then it doesn't get so much interesting until they bring in more about Sharon Tate and the Manson cult. And Brad Pitt. So, because once that gets introduced, that's when I feel like the film gets a little more interesting.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, and so
they don't really focus on that at all, and especially the cult in the first hour or so.
Yeah. So then why do we care? So I guess part of me is like, all right, is there growth in the movie? Do you feel like Leo's character, Rick Dalton's character, like grows?
It's hard to talk about it without giving stuff away.
These I think these characters are definitely lovable characters.
They are.
And I did feel attached to all of them as the film progressed. So and I think...
minus the cult, right?
Yeah.
Or are you talking about the cult the whole time? Like, which one are you talking about, Mike?
Rub his forehead. Do it quickly. Does he have a swastika on there? He might be a Manzonite.
The makeup comes off.
No, but I think like there are a lot of fun character building and world building moments. that you get to experience with all these characters. With Rick Dalton's character, without giving too much away, you get to, and it's shown in the trailer too. You watch the day in the life of an actor, and it's fun to actually see how it plays out, like how it plays out on set. You get those moments they're super fun to watch.
Yeah, and I think that was a lot of it too. You did see about you see in the trailers when he talks to Al Pacino's character, who's supposed to be like a producer, and they kind of like starting to set up about getting work, about what to do. And then even then, you see the moments when he's trying to memorize his lines, when he's trying to prep himself for the parts, for the scene, and even on sets, like maybe like little mistakes or whatnot. It felt very genuine when watching it. So I think a lot of it was just kind of giving you a taste of what was like the lifestyle, what is like the career wise, what day-to-day life of an actor and what they have to go through.
So this is more like a docudrama style, obviously with Quentin Tarantino flair.
Well, not like a docu-drama style, but just kind of gives you like that.
This is
that
probably
taste.
like the least Quentin Tarantino movie of all his movies.
I 100% agree with Dan, and I think
I'll give you that.
And I think that hurts the film a little bit. To me, it did.
Okay, because you have certain expectations, you get used to.
This is more like, I guess. Never mind.
I'll say like as far as like we get certain expectations as far as a Tarantino film, like certain types of dynamics. This one, it was more
subdued,
more chill.
Absolutely,
it was more just kind of like a nice, moderate pace.
It's like the opening of Death Proof, where there's like a lot of talking and hanging out,
and
a lot of feet as well.
His
foot fetish is still there.
It's so prominent throughout the movie. It's like kind of ridiculous. Now that part, that's kind of heavy-handed.
Right? Or should you say heavy-footed?
There we go. Don't you take my point.
Mike may have just mic dropped this review. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of bare dirty feet.
I get it.
I don't know how to walk this one back anymore.
Wow.
I'm just
barefoot.
Barefoot.
I mean, I get it's the 60s and there's a lot of hippies out there, but still, no excuse.
Yeah,
barefoot.
There's a whole scene where Brad Pitt's driving this girl and like her dirty feet are on the windshield,
and they're right there in the camera, right there.
So like half the screen is her feet.
Yeah, and then like Brad Pitt kind of has to go around and just here I am.
Okay,
and even in the theater too, when she was watching her movie,
Sharon Tate,
feet everywhere.
Margot Robbie, putting her feet like on the seat in front.
Barefoot.
It's the same thing. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, you've gone on to Margot Robbie. Tell me about the acting.
Well,
these are some star caliber actors going on here.
The acting is great. The acting is incredible in this film. Leo is amazing as Rick Dalton. Brad Pitt is amazing as a stuntman, and Margot Robbie is we don't see much of Margot Robbie. I mean, she's
we spend time with her, but
not enough time where I felt like we should have.
Okay.
I would have liked to. Spend more time with
you do
her.
experience like a sweetness of her. Like she's like a very sweet, very down to earth.
The time we spent with her is in a movie theater where she's watching her own film. That's the majority of where we spend time with her, which is in the trailer.
It is in the trailer, yeah.
So that's like the bulk of when we spend time with her.
I think the time that you spend with her, a lot of it she's not saying much, but you get to spend time. It's strange.
I would have enjoyed more.
Yeah,
which I get because Sharon Tate, like this whole thing was around the Sharon Tate murder.
Yeah, I think it's just the way how they were trying to like. Because I mean, like he got the blessing from Sharon Tate's sister when it came to doing this movie, which is funny because there's actually this is actually the year of the anniversary of the Manson murders. So there's like 4 other movies out there that are about the Manson murders, but this was like the only one that actually got the blessing from the sister. So I think it's just the fact that we see like the amount of screen time we see of Margot Robbie being Sharon Tate, and how they present her. I think that's like their way of being able to get the okay from the estate of Sharon Tate.
Also, without giving too much away, also this movie really kicks in gears the last 30 minutes of the film.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It is awesome
because that's awesome. When I'm assuming when the Manson murderers start revving up.
No, there's for a different reason.
Okay, yeah. So Margot Robbie is. You said you want more time with Margot Robbie. Leo is great. There is a lot of supporting cast, some of which you mentioned earlier, which was Emil Hirsch. You said that Emil Hirsch is in this movie as well. We haven't seen him in a while. How is he in this movie? Or how are the supporting cast in this movie? Because you were saying the Bruce Lee actor as well. He was really fantastic. How's supporting cast?
It's not a very strong supporting cast. There's a lot of people.
No, the
in
little
it.
girl is great.
Oh, she was great.
She
Yeah,
was awesome. Whoever the little girl was, she needs to be more filmed.
Do you remember
She's amazing.
in the trailer where it's like a little girl that he's doing a
the
scene
best
with,
acting. This is the best acting I've ever seen in my life.
and then he just gets all teary eyed.
Yeah.
She is great.
Oh, she's hilarious.
I wish that clip wasn't in the trailer.
Oh,
'Cause
okay.
when I first saw it in the trailer, I was like, yeah. And then like it lost impact like when I saw
Really,
it.
I still had impact when I saw it. Because you see the whole scene together.
Yeah.
And you see them talk. And that was one scene that, you know what, I was okay like with that scene because the little girl was amazing in the
Yeah,
film.
she is.
Oh, yeah.
The supporting role, not a lot of people have a lot in this film to do.
Yeah.
It's mostly Leo, Brad Pitt. And
Yeah, it's more on the leads.
Well, but we also have this is Luke Perry's final performance as well. Like, so how is Luke Perry in this movie?
Well, he was great. It was just, but his part was more of a cameo
Gotcha.
Yeah.
for the sake of
So
a lot of
it's
cameos.
Yeah, a lot of
more
cameos.
cameos than
Okay.
supporting.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would
All
say.
right.
There is a great tension scene, and you kind of see in the trailer where Brad Pitt goes to like this ranch. That whole scene sequence
Oh,
is
yeah,
pretty,
that was-
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a lot. There was great build up in there, and just kind of kept you like wondering, like, okay, what's going to happen? Is this going to happen? You kind of started making little
Yeah,
assumptions.
I was like, fuck. The whole time, I was just like, oh, uncomfortableness.
Yeah,
It
'cause then
turns, it turns into like a horror film for a second.
Right?
Yeah, it does.
The creepiness of it. That's what it is.
Yeah. For
All
sure.
right.
Which was really cool.
So I guess we get to the Sharon Tate of it all. That's depicted in this movie.
So I know it's
Or
it's-
rather, that's something that this movie's because that's the end. Right. That so if anybody doesn't know this, the end of the '60s. A lot of things happened in the '60s, but one of the things that ended the Flower Power movement was Charles Manson, who then led his children or whatever he called them, his cult followers, to kill Sharon Tate and the
Guess that she
and the
had.
guests that were there. They were intending to kill Roman Polanski, I believe. That was Polanski they were going for, right?
Well,
so like
But anyways, the point is that
Okay,
that
yeah, I'm
was
trying
the-
not to give
that
away.
was the
Yeah, yeah.
death.
Well,
that was the death of the Flower Power
Yeah.
movement.
without ruining. I mean, just history with what
Yeah.
happened. It was originally Charles Manson was friends with. He became friends with some of the Beach Boys.
Beach Boys, yeah.
And the producer of the Beach Boys at that time lived at the house.
Polanski's house.
But yeah, before Polanski moved in, so that was like the history behind that. So there was like. So Charles Manson had it out for that producer,
Oh, okay.
and then but the producer moved out. But yeah, that's
pretty much like being in the wrong place at the wrong.
yeah.
Got
Exactly.
it. Okay, and do you see that depiction of that story going in that direction?
So I don't know if that's possible to be touched without going into spoiler territory.
Yeah.
But I can say I don't. All I can say is that it's not what you think, and it kind of goes into classic Tarantino
Got it.
style. That's all. Is that fair?
So lots of blood.
I won't. And like I was
Red wedding.
like worried. I was very worried with where that was going to take it, and I was pleased with where it ended up going.
I will say, because you did question to see, like, oh,
Yeah,
you
I
didn't
was.
know which way it would go.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I know we're like we can't get specific without ruining it for
Yeah.
you.
No,
It's just the way how it was handled. You're just
Yeah, I enjoyed how it was handled
Yeah.
though, and I was very, very worried.
like how are you going to do it?
Yeah, I was like, this is like, yeah,
It's a sensitive,
yeah,
subject. so-
absolutely.
All right.
That's saying too much already, guys.
Wow, guys. Okay. All right. The music. So we have Tarantino. He loves his music.
Great
How's the
soundtrack.
music in this?
Great.
Great soundtrack. I mean, it really does. Like once again,
I didn't notice it.
well, that's the thing. It's like, well, I don't think this is like a way to gives too much away. It's just you have they play the music of the era
Yeah.
of like it's the late
That's true,
'60s.
yeah.
So a lot of it comes from radios. So like they're driving down the street, you're hearing this track from a radio. They're
That's
driving
true,
to another
that's
part, hearing another track from the radio, or just saying the house, trying to making mac and cheese, and there's a radio playing in the background or something. And it stayed. It wasn't. I don't want to say it was very music driven. Like it was like, okay, this is a big.
So it wasn't Reservoir Dogs.
No, it wasn't it wasn't stylized so much. I mean, it had like a couple moments where the music was used to like help with the scene, but it was more just like kind of in the background role, just going back into setting up the aesthetics of the era of the late '60s of just giving the the authentic feel of it. I enjoyed the soundtrack. I mean, I was into that like classic rock back in the day.
Cool.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, I agree with that.
But Dan, you say you didn't even notice it?
No. I was thinking about like the score, not so much the music.
Oh,
that's a good point.
But because the score, I thinking about it, I don't remember. But the music itself, the music was great of the time.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there was parts in the score when they tried to be authentic to, because a lot of it's like the Leo's character, he was a TV cowboy. Mm-hmm. So TV music from the 50s, from the 60s. It has a very distinctive sound. So there's a couple parts in movies where they kind of try to carry that. They try to use that where it still had that kind of same score from like movies or television from like the 60s era.
Got it.
It wasn't like, synths or anything with, synths and like boom, booms or anything.
So, any final thoughts? I feel like I'm hesitant, but I'm getting an idea. Final thoughts for this film?
It's a very long film.
Yes.
And I think there are moments where it feels like it's meandering, but there are still and it is definitely one of the more tame Tarantino films, but there's still enough here to enjoy. So take out for me.
Gotcha.
I think this film the performances are great. I think Tarantino does a great job directing it. It is longer than it should be, but I feel like if you're really into Hollywood and films and filmmaking and seeing behind the scenes of how films get made, and especially in this time, I think you will really enjoy what it has to say.
Okay. Manny?
I think it's a lot of it really is like I guess it's kind of it's Tarantino's love letter to Hollywood. That's all his life has been. It's Hollywood. He wanted to be a director. He's made movies, and this is just kind of his way of like just saying, "Thank you," in a sense.
Before we go, do we have any comments from the guests or from the chat?
No, nothing that I can really talk about.
Okay, then. Well, with that being said, I'm going to give the point over to not Mike. But that just means it goes to Manny. I'm gonna say
another point right
I'm
there.
I'm gonna go with takeout because
takeout. What?
That's what I'm saying. I'm
confused now.
Oh, as in like you can't get any points because you are disqualified.
Okay.
But I'm gonna go with the takeout. I'm kind of again the running time is a thing that kind of like scares me. Like I don't want to watch a movie that's that
just go
long.
watch it in theaters.
I think I would rather save my time than spend all that. So I don't know. You know what, audience? If you guys have any other opinions, if you feel like this movie's worth it, dine in. Try to convince me. But what I'm saying is that I would probably wait a little bit to watch this movie at home. I'm not super excited to watch it, but I definitely would be willing to watch the Tarantino's 9th out of 10 films. So point goes to Manny because Manny does earn points. With that being said, I'm tossing the hosting duties back over to Dan.
Whoosh. I can't talk. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you, Z, for hosting.
Of course.
Thank you so much, Manny, for being on the show.
Thank you.
I overwrite Z's thing, and you win.
Yay.
Well, he won anyways. That's what I just said.
Oh, I wasn't listening.
No, that makes sense.
Thank you so much, Mike, for being here. For whatever.
Just for being alive. Thank you.
No, not for being alive. For being here. We appreciate you being
alive or dead, as long as you're here.
Oh, man.
It's just like that. Just like,
I mean, you don't have to be alive. Just be here.
Like Weekend at Bernie's style. Like I could have the glasses.
That's still too smart and too for you, Mike.
Way too smart for you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mike. Mike is my stunt double, so thank you.
Nice.
He takes all the hits.
That is true.
Because he's in a cult.
Benny, is there anything you would like to promote at this time?
Well, just to say, right now, Awkward Silence. I know I've talked about it every time I've come on the show.
As you should, because it's an amazing film.
Thank you. Right now, it's on Amazon Prime. If you want to see it, we pretty much finished our time on the festival circuit. Pretty much come to an end, but on the positive note, it's been great. We were able to go to different cities. Even got to go to Hong Kong.
That's awesome.
To show over there.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Talk about Hong Kong real quick.
Oh, okay. Well, Hong Kong, it was awesome. It was my first time going to Asia. We were part of a special presentation of American films that were going to be shown at the Hong Kong International Deaf Film Festival. So it was great to go there. I got to see my film. It was had Mandarin subtitles or Cantonese subtitles on there. Getting to meet like a lot of the people, the coordinators, the audience. It got a really good reception from it. Even being able to see people, it's a different culture, and seeing them react to the film. That's what really like brought me a lot of joy watching like certain scenes, like seeing them actually getting the jokes or just the story itself. And in my story, it's one of the characters is deaf, and a lot of sign language is used. A lot of the audience, they were deaf as well. So what was fun was when they would see my character, the lead actor in the film, make use sign language, use ASL. Because Chinese ASL is different. Yeah. So then they would watch it. They would see the translation through the subtitles, and then you would see them like doing the same signs. Like it's simple, like hello or thank you or I'm sorry. I'd start glancing over, and you would see people like, oh, okay, that's how the Americans say thank you, or that's how the Americans say like I'm sorry, and they would start like mimicking the signs. So I thought that was great. But yeah, Hong Kong was an amazing trip.
How long were you there?
I was there for a week. I want to take advantage of it. Go do a little bit of sightseeing and whatnot, and then being there for the festival itself. It was held at the Hong Kong Arts Center, a beautiful venue where they had a beautiful screening theater that they had for it. Got to see that. Got to see a bunch of other films there as well. So thank you to big thank you to the Hong Kong International Film Festival for having us. Thank you also to the TSWY. Festival for allowing us to be part of your showcase to be shown in Hong Kong. So yeah, if you want to see the movie, we're right now in Amazon Prime. You go to Amazon Prime Video, you can find there, type it in Awkward Silence. We got a lot of positive reviews, great feedback. And even then, just the fact that we're on there now streaming, it opens up doors for people all over the world to be able to see it, that they weren't able to see it before because, they weren't able to come to festivals that we had it, or just, they live other side of the pond.
Gotcha. Awesome.
Yeah, go check it out. It's such a good movie.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. We are Movie Menu Podcast. Thank you. Make sure to visit our website at moviemenupodcast.com. Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, SoundCloud, or wherever you find your podcasts. Rate and review us as well. We greatly appreciate it. Share and comment this video. Share it with everyone you can on Facebook or wherever platform you may use. Also, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube channel. We are everywhere. We are everywhere, so don't forget. Thank you. Until next time, we say goodbye.
2, 3, 4.